Make no mistake, the Nexus 6P was absolutely one of the best phones of 2016. With its excellent camera, solid build quality and typical pure Google experience software, the 6P stood out as a flagship to be reckoned with, despite not carrying a full flagship price. But a lot can change in a year, so without any further ado, my name is Stephen Potter and this is the Nexus 6P 1 year on. Let's kick things off with a physical look around the device. The 6P is solidly built, but not exactly built to last it seems. Mine's a second-hand unit, so I can't say for sure what it's been through, but the anodized coating on the aluminium can quite easily chip off, making this black unit not look quite so nice. If you've noticed something a bit odd with my 6P, that's probably because of the skin on the back. It's a slick wrapped natural genuine leather one, and I've really been liking it. This isn't a sponsored video or anything, but I'd highly recommend this skin for the 6P, it really helps round out the device. In terms of connectivity, we've got a headphone jack up top, man I hate that we have to mention that these days, and a USB-C port down below, which while pretty exciting at the time of launch, these days is pretty standard fare. The screen on the 6P is really quite good, but it needs a bit of work to get it there. Out of the box, colours are way too saturated, but if you go into developer mode and enable use sRGB, then you'll end up with one of the most accurate smartphone displays on the market. White balance and colours are spot on. Black levels, as you'd expect from an AMOLED panel, are pitch black, and at 1440p it's plenty sharp enough. My one complaint would be that it doesn't get that bright and can easily wash out in direct sunlight, which is unfortunate to say the least. In many ways these days, software is the make or break element of a smartphone, and in my opinion this is an area the 6P simply nails. It's tough to beat the simplicity and fluidity of bone stock Android, and even running the developer preview of Android N, things crash less than some phones out there today. The Nexus approach to software has always been something I've liked, and the lack of features really isn't a problem these days. There's really nothing that I feel is missing from the software experience of this phone, and it's only going to get better with a few years of guaranteed updates from Google. Performance here is without issues. Sure, the 6P might not have the fastest processor these days, and it can occasionally get quite warm to the touch under heavy load, but thanks to the stock build of Android, everything is silky smooth pretty much all the time. One of my favourite little features of the 6P is Nexus Imprint, the fingerprint scanner. It's hardly the fastest of any phone on the market, but honestly that doesn't really matter. It's well positioned where your finger naturally rests, and it's a really convenient way to unlock your device. The camera on the 6P is really quite good, but what makes it great is a bit of a trick it has, HDR+. Now, I know HDR isn't too new to most of you, but for once, an HDR mode on a phone actually does what it's meant to, increase the dynamic range without just making things look nasty. Sure, you'll take a bit of a hit in capture speed, but when you look at the final results with less clipped highlights, less noise, and this really nice understated processing, the 6P can produce some really nice looking images straight out of camera. Now, for all of my praise of the still quality, to be honest, video quality isn't great. Sure, it's 4K, but the lack of optical image stabilization really puts it on the back foot compared to a few other competing devices. Battery life here is a bit of a mixed bag. Sure, the doze feature in Android works magnificently, you'll probably only lose a few percent overnight, and this really makes a big difference to my charging routine. That being said, as soon as you're using the device and powering that big screen, the battery will still empty pretty quickly. I've had no problems getting through one day, but I definitely wouldn't try to push it to 2. One of the things that'll never get old to me on the 6P are the front-facing speakers. They're not necessarily the loudest or the most detailed you'll find on a smartphone, but just the act of putting them on the front of the device makes a huge difference to the whole audio experience, and this is still something I wish more manufacturers would do. Altogether, the Nexus 6P is still one of the most well-rounded devices on the market today. Sure, there's nothing it has that isn't beaten by one flagship or another today, but there's also nothing that's really bad about it. It doesn't have the best processor, display, build quality, speakers, or anything like that, but when you put everything together, the complete package is just so solid, it's tough not to love this phone, and I'm eagerly awaiting whatever Google comes out with next.